Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I find myself always apologizing when I come out here, but we are involved in some very difficult conference sessions here. December, November 25th. All right, Joe, you ready? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, is that on?
Yeah.
Adequate notice of the December the 25th, 2013 meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Whippany, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: the Hanover Eagle, Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and by filing same with the Township Clerk. Have a roll call, please.
On roll call, Committeeman Schleifer.
Here.
Committeeman Ferramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Bruno.
Here.
Committeeman Capola.
Here.
And Mayor Francioli.
Here.
5 members in attendance, sir.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, those that may, can you please rise and join me in the pledge allegiance to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay. At this time, and before I open to the public, I'd like to recognize members of the Whippany River Action Committee who are here tonight to address the Township Committee. And Whippany River Action Committee, my knowledge of it, sound like that goes back to
the mid
which it
90s.
yeah.
Yep. Well, for some of you young bucks up there that don't remember us old timers, in any event, there's a little history, but I think the Whippany River is Whippany, whether you know it or not. Sure, it's wide all over Morris County, but it is Whippany, whether you remember or not. The fact of the matter is that back in the mid-90s, I was at that time as mayor. I was asked to pull together all the mayors of the 12 municipalities that were in the river watershed. And we had a meeting, and we had a study made. And George Van Orden, who you guys should be very, very proud of. Over the years, Joe Van Orden has been studying this study, and he's got at least 7 studies over the years of trends, analysis, and things of that nature that have been the benchmark for cleaning up the Whippany River. And you all know what we went through with the paperboard and with the Morristown treatment plants, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to go into the history, but the fact of the matter is that you still have a very vibrant committee in the, some of the members, the 12 members, at least 9 are still very, very active. And we, over the years, we've accumulated some $4 million in grants that we spent on cleaning up the river, improving the banks of the river, et cetera. So we were honored with a presentation at the Governor's Excellent Awards that I'd like to present to the Township Committee. So let me introduce, first of all, Amy DiPatalmo, who is our treasurer, been very loyal for all of these years, and she kept the books straight, and she keeps us out of jail. And also Jim Bransky, another local boy who lives in town, who is the vice chairman, who takes over the many years that I go down to Florida. He takes over the meetings. So I'm going to introduce Amy and Jim. Where are you? Where are you hiding?
We're, as usual, right behind you, Sal.
All right, go ahead. Jim?
Since Sal went over the history of the Whippany River Watershed Action Committee, just a little bit about the watershed itself. 12-member towns, 16 miles of river, over close to 70 square miles of watershed. That's how big it is. The history that Sal mentioned and George Van Orden's been working on identifies one of the greatest threats of the Whippany River and its watershed is stormwater. You know, runoff from the development, putting stress on the water bodies of the watershed. One way to rectify or address or mitigate that stormwater is through retention basins. So the Whippany River Watershed Action Committee was able to receive the Governor's 2013 Environmental Excellence Award by reconfiguring and rebuilding bioretention basins. They were traditional retention basins turned into bioretention basins. That steers the stormwater to the retention basins, filters through native plants, through the soil, basically cleans it up. Just to read from the New Jersey DEP website, in the water resources category, the Whippany River Watershed Action Committee, like Sal mentioned, 12 municipality member towns, 16 miles of river, close to 70 square miles of watershed. We got a $600,000 grant from the NJDEP. Received funds to develop a watershed protection and restoration plan, and we went above and beyond that plan. The committee, we converted two conventional detention basins into bioretention basins, and it also mentioned about George Van Orden, an extensive amount of modeling, sampling, and analysis because it needs to be measurable. And that was a result of that. The water quality helped prioritize future projects. And then we're looking into establishing a method to track pathogens in the watershed also. That's a result. We received the award. I'd like to share it with the committee.
I think Sal mentioned Dr. Van Orden, and well to mention him, George became involved in the Whippany River watershed quite a few years ago when he first came on with us. It's got to go back 25 or 30 years now.
Yep.
And
We
at that time,
sponsored
the quality of the river.
His PhD.
We
$1,000.
were proud to say that he got his PhD, his doctorate, while on or employed. But the Whippany River at that time, going back in those days, was in terrible, terrible shape. Issues that impacted it from everything from sewer plants, etc., just made it a disgrace. And George's work over time and his work down in Trenton, etc., we can say at this time that the oxygen level in that river is trout quality. BOD levels are very, very high, and George monitors it, continually monitors it, and it's even above the norm now. So a big thanks to him. And again, so once again, I'm taking away from your presentation, but you received an award.
And we like to share it with our member towns, kind of treat it like the Stanley Cup. We transfer it from town to town, so you guys are first.
We only keep it for a little bit? Okay.
Don't drink out of it.
All right. Don't drink out of it.
All righty.
George, you didn't bring your camera?
Oh, hold on, I can figure out how to get a picture off.
You got a cell phone?
You got one?
Very good. We'll get over here. Yeah. Pretty heavy too, guys.
Don't drop it.
Thanks. Smile. Perfect.
All right, well done.
Very nice. We'll find a place in our showcase there in the front area somewhere.
We'll be back to reclaim it in a couple
Now,
of
how,
Don't get used to it, Ron.
how long are you going to entrust this to us for?
About 2 weeks.
I don't know.
Nancy,
God.
too, as a treasurer, I really appreciate your voucher system. And also, Mr. Giorgio, you always take care of us with the JIF, with the insurance. And you don't know how much that means to us with your continued support.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Oh, and we have pens for you.
All right.
Oh,
I need
pens
a
are
better
good.
pen.
Pens are good.
7, so you have
That's
to
okay.
fight over them.
There we go. We'll make,
Thank you.
we'll make sure that
Thank you
these
so
get
much.
distributed to the gentlemen. All right, that is terrific. You know, we've got to say some thank yous along the way. It's a perfect time to thank our new neighbors, Bayer Corporation. Bayer was a part of the Whippany River cleanup a few months ago, and took about a half a ton of refuse out of that river, and worked the banks from the Whippany River Bridge all the way down to the Algonquin Parkway, and some 100+ employees of theirs on that day. So we thank them for that, and we thank you for this wonderful award, and we'll treasure it for the next 2 weeks. That's fine. Joseph, there you go. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Al. Okay, Joseph, at this time, I'm going to ask the committee for a motion to open to the public for any item not appearing on the agenda.
Second.
Motion to open, seconded and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. Anyone who would like to address the committee at this time can do so from the podium. Give us your name, rank, serial number, And any passwords that get you into Facebook?
525-8883.
Say that again?
None of us forget that number, do we? Our number,
It's on tape.
which is the military ID number. Good evening, Joseph Mihalko, 12 Anna Terrace, Whippany section of Hanover Township. It's an honor to be back up here in your cold climes. I guess you'll have noticed I unfortunately had to miss the last couple of meetings. We were trying to bottle up some sunshine to bring it back up to you from Sarasota.
Oh.
But apparently we were not successful, so. But before I go back down and try and rebottle some for you, I am just glad to be here tonight to address you concerning Ordinance 3213, 3313. It was, I don't know how many years ago, when we ventured into Whippany Village.
Not 2009, Joe?
Oh, my goodness. Somebody's getting old, not me, I'm sorry.
Whoa, speak for yourself.
Be that as it may, 2009 going on to 2014, and here we are, still trying to pop a pimple that keeps popping up. And I have a recommendation for the Township Committee in general. It's kind of far-fetched. I'm at a point where I think we should have be leaving well enough alone. Keep changing this ordinance for the benefit of a developer and no benefit to the town. My personal feeling, I think we should put a moratorium on all residential development for a period of at least 2 years until we figure out where this town is going and where we want it to go. It would seem to behoove us. I know there are many mitigating factors that you have to address concerning proposals that have already been passed, auctioned off, or established, or whatever. But by the same token, I think you gentlemen are astute enough to recognize that we are beginning to become very much residentially overdeveloped. Enjoy your winter. I hope to enjoy mine.
Thank you, Joe. I'm not going to comment on the ordinances. The gentlemen here are going to comment. But I will say this, that word moratorium is powerful, very powerful. And in my tenure here, I've only seen it employed some years ago, and the only agency that could employ it was HSA. Because when sewage facilities can't be expanded, when the capacities are limited, when the plant is at a point where it can't accept any other expansion at all, the state and the law allows a moratorium. Are there other conditions that allow moratoriums? I think this Township Committee is probably going to truly explore any and all of those along the way. Our biggest concern, again, I'm not going to preach from this, everybody knows my position on COA, and I can address the governor directly on this. He also knows my position on COA. And but whatever we do in this town, whether we do not put one other brick in residential, but if we build anything in this town, it will have, under some formula, a COA requirement. That's the dilemma. That's the dilemma. And are we satisfied with where we are? Truly thrilled. Bayer Corporation, fine. New neighbor, excellent. ShopRite, fine. New neighbor. Even though they're suing us and we have our issues, work that out. Red Bulls came in, fine. New neighbor, etc. Red Bulls built a group home. The shop rights has to be measured against what was on the site, against their COLA requirements, and I think we took that into consideration, blazing our housing plan with those guys, as well as Bayer, which replaced the use that was there. Point being that, as I said to this committee, unless we find a way to put a chain across Route 10 and Whippany Road and Park Avenue, solve our traffic problems, which are not ours, they're regional, and we get blamed with it, and we get painted with that brush. Unless we come up with that answer, we're going to be fighting with this need for a moratorium. So I think the committee well knows what's ahead of them on this one. Thank you. Anyone else in the public like to be heard at this time? Motion to close.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue, members of the Township Committee, what is the pleasure concerning ordinance number 32-13?
Got a motion to defeat 3213.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Faramaska to defeat, and second by Mr. Capola. On roll call for defeat, yes will be to defeat, so yes vote to defeat. Mr. Schleifer?
Abstain, sir.
Mr. Schleifer is abstaining. Mr. Faramaska?
Yes.
Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Capola?
Yes.
Mr. Francioli?
Abstain.
Okay, we have a majority, 3 votes to defeat, and 2 abstentions, so noted for the record. Ladies and gentlemen, with regard to ordinance number 33-13, there was a great deal of discussion tonight in conference work session about whether or not that ordinance should be introduced this evening. And without being disrespectful to the Township Committee, I think the vote at this time would be, or the decision would be not to introduce. Mr. Faramaska, perhaps you'd like to speak on that?
At this point, the Township Committee collectively believes that more research needs to be performed. In addition to that, there's uncertainty as to what the state requirements are with the affordable housing requirements. So as a result of this, we have elected not to move forward with 3313, which would be an amendment replacing 3213, which was just struck down. So at this point, we're going to be doing more evaluation and getting an understanding of the impact and getting an understanding of how best we can manage moving forward within the township.
Thank you, Mr. Faramaska. As we continue, ladies and gentlemen, we have now an ordinance which was docketed as 3413. We'll now make it ordinance number 33-13. What this ordinance does, in order for the chief's salary to keep pace with proposed settlement with the Superior Officers Association, there is a need to increase the rank differential so that the chief would be, in effect, making more, keeping pace above the salary of the captain and the lieutenants. This ordinance would be further considered for public hearing and final passage at the Township Committee meeting on December 12th at 8:30 p.m. here in the main meeting room. And at that time, the Township Committee would be amenable to listen to any comments from the members of the public. And this ordinance will be further published in full in accordance with law in the December 2nd issue of the Daily Record. Do we have a motion for introduction?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Capola.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bruno and Mr. Schleifer. On roll call for introduction, Mr. Schleifer,
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska,
Aye.
Mr. Bruno,
Aye.
Mr. Capola,
Aye.
and Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So introduced. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with
You
the...
did punctuate the fact that this is the differential between ranks, and it was on part of the Superior Officers' settlements?
Yes, I
Thank
did,
you.
sir. Yes, yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with the agenda, we have the consent agenda resolutions. Are there any questions about any of the resolutions? What's that?
Do you need a motion, Joe, or?
What's number one?
Do you need a motion
You need a
to
motion, sir, yes.
make a motion,
We
Joe?
have a motion by Mr.
Second.
Schleifer to approve
Second.
the consent agenda, second by Mr. Bruno. On roll call for adoption of the consent agenda resolutions, Mr. Schleifer,
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Oh, yeah, aye, but number one.
And Mr. Capola is voting in favor of all the resolutions except the first resolution. And Mr. Franciulli.
Aye.
So approved. Consent agenda of raffle applications, which are listed on page 2. As a consent agenda, are there any questions about any of the raffle applications?
Make a motion to move forward with?
We have a motion by Mr. Schleifer, seconded by Mr. Bruno, and roll call. Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Mr. Faramaska.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Franciulli.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, members of the Township Committee, that clears the agenda of the Administrative Clerk, and I thank you.
My God, did I set a record?
Yes, you did.
Joe slowed me up.
Close.
Joe's fault.
Wait a minute, he's not done yet. He didn't open the door.
Oh, wait a second, maybe I spoke too fast. You have your resolutions?
Oh, you want to sign them?
Well, that would be nice. Don't have to, but I mean, yeah.
I think you want to sign them in the
What the heck?
conference room.
Is there any other business from
Sorry.
is there any other business from the Township Committee at this time?
Yeah, I've got one. I'd like to recognize our mayor for sponsoring special legislation for special needs students within the state of New Jersey. This will ensure, this legislation, which was unanimously supported at the League by all present, will ensure support plans as well as the budgets for these special needs students be transferred along with the student in the event that that student moves to another municipality. So I think it's the right thing to do, I think it's a fair thing to do, and I want to compliment him for taking the bull by the horns and bringing this to the League and selling it and communicating it and getting unanimous agreement to it. So job well done.
Thank you, John, appreciate that. I think, I'm hoping that this will go to state state legislation that's sponsored by the League for adoption, and I can only hope that we can get it in place to give our school board some relief, possibly not in 214, but certainly I'm looking forward to 2015 when something like this can be an assist, not just to our school board and our schools, but to those in the whole state. So that's the critical thing. But thank you for the recognition, appreciate it. Any other comments from the committee?
The annual Christmas event over at the Recreation Center on the 15th from 2 till 4. Santa Claus will be there. Lots of activities for the kids and cookies and so on and so on. So please mark that on your calendar. I'd like to see everybody there right over at the Rec Center.
That's it? Kenny? George? No?
Yeah,
Okay.
just one thing. As far as the Landmark Commission, they really have done a great job. As their liaison, they're working on a significant project to really put a strong awareness behind the fact that we have a number of historical sites within our township. The one biggest one right now is the burial yards. There's a committee with myself, Mike Nikki, the chairman, Vivian Cohen and Don Cadu, and a couple of other gentlemen from the Historical Society. They actually put together a beautiful brochure that's in the process of being printed, that's gonna go in all of the hotels, and gonna go on the hotel's computers. When you walk in and you wanna tells you sites, when visitors who are staying at the hotel wanna go see sites around town. It should be done shortly, and I look forward to bringing copies to all the committee members. And they also have some very ambitious project for when you go into the burial yards with a program that's we actually define just about where different people are located within the burial yard. And that's what this brochure is gonna have, the history of it, gonna have a map of the burial yard, gonna have names of people that are located from Civil War time on. So it's really quite an extensive project they took on for themselves. And I think it's one that had its beginning with Bob O'Gelly, who for many years served as chairman. So with that, I look forward to it really moving forward and bringing it, again, they're looking for a presentation to the committee to even show greater amount of what they have in mind to do further with this entire project.
Thank you, George, appreciate that. I'd be very remiss if I didn't also publicly thank the assistance that Hanover got with the co-sponsorship from Mayor Art Ondish of Mount Arlington on the resolution that we put before the league. So Art, thank you very much for being with me during our vote on that resolution, and I wish you all the best of health. I know you're going through some difficult times right now, but Art was a great assist to us. On that note, also like to, just before closing, tell everybody 4 hours at $3.50 for each pound. We could put the turkey in for. No, I think that'll burn the turkey.
I think it's 20 minutes.
Probably about
20
20
minutes.
minutes.
See, he don't cook.
Yeah.
20 minutes per pound at
For
350.
Thanksgiving coming up, I do wish everyone a very, very happy holiday in our town. And I know we've got, along with Thanksgiving, for Jewish friends, we've got Hanukkah coming up as well. We wish them the best of the holidays. And on that note, I'm going to motion to open the floor once again.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is once again open. Anyone like to address the Township Committee can do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record. Hearing none.
Will we close?
Seeing none.
Second.
I didn't ask for the motion yet.
Okay.
You got it. Very good.
You got it.
Motion to close
So moved.
and seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Happy
Motion-
Thanksgiving.
Motion for adjourn. Happy
One and
Thanksgiving.
all.
Tonight?
3 footballs again.
I might see the
New
second.
NFL tradition.
I know.
Ain't bad enough this one full year, we still have.
Yeah.
1:30, 4:30, and 8:30.
In Virginia, you just got it, or what's that?
Well, we have more things.
That's right.